Welcome back. So it looks like it's getting exciting once again for Bitcoin. Look at where it is now, above 106, and it's looking like it wants to keep on going. Things are looking fantastic. Once again, Bitcoin is strong. Are we going to hit that all-time high soon? Tonight? Tomorrow? This week? It looks like it's going to happen. So in this video, let me talk about a few things that's going on and also talk about some very specific projects that are now being integrated with Bitcoin. Yes, alts that have a lot to do with Bitcoin and growing the Bitcoin ecosystem, which doesn't seem like it makes sense, but you'll understand when I explain it. But first things first, as for Bitcoin, look at it's just moving upwards, right? This is just like a slow trajectory upwards. Absolutely fantastic. A lot of this has to do with the fact that people do not like what's going on out there. Okay, here is a huge asset manager, KKR, who holds $360 billion of assets. They are saying U.S. bonds are no longer working as a hedge, especially because the U.S. credit rating got cut recently. Okay, it's scaring a lot of people. And that is why people are now tuning to Bitcoin. They're turning to something better. Of course, gold does exist, but people are starting to recognize there is nothing that outperforms Bitcoin, which makes it the best hedge against inflation. That is why Bitcoin continues to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And you hear more and more people and companies adopt. I mean, even JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon, one of the biggest bears out there, has caved, has capitulated, and now offers Bitcoin at all the US branches out there. Right? That's amazing. And you hear about new companies putting in 100 million, 500 million, a billion, raising more money to buy Bitcoin. Here's another asset manager, Blackstone, someone that's pretty, in the past, not so for Bitcoin, right? They oversee over $1 trillion in assets. And it turns out they have, well, they didn't buy Bitcoin directly, but they do hold some BlackRock Bitcoin spot ETFs. Okay, so even the biggest naysayers out there are starting to realize that this is the way. This is the best asset to hold, and more people are turning to it. And the people that are now recognizing how strong, how good Bitcoin is, a lot of them are regretting that they didn't get in earlier, right? This is always the same story. That's why I've met countless people that have told me, hey, I could have gotten Bitcoin at $100. I could have gotten at $1,000. I could have gotten at $10,000. I could have gotten at $30,000, $50,000, $80,000, right? Hindsight is always 20/20. There's never a better time to get involved than now, because we know that Bitcoin just keeps on going. And even though we have some scary moments, consolidation moments, you know, brief stints where Bitcoin may be down, but it's never down and out and continues forward upwards. Here's something that I think a lot of people can relate to. Here's an NBA star. Well, maybe a lot of people can't relate to this because a lot of people don't make $82 million within a single contract. That's what Tristan Thompson, you know, he got it back in 2015, right? And back then, Bitcoin was only about $200. And he regrets it so much that he didn't even put a little bit into Bitcoin, because he would be a billionaire now. Had he put his entire contract, his $82 million contract, into Bitcoin, he'd be worth $32 billion. One of the richest people on the planet, right? So again, a lot of people are starting to realize, man, you just got to get in. You got to get in early and continue to hold on DCA. It's a game of accumulation. This is why Saylor and Larry Fink and others continue to push forward and buy as much as they can, right? Next step is getting back to our all-time high, 109, 110, and then we'll be ready. Low volume, low liquidity. We are ready for that next leg up to 120, 130, 140,000 dollars, right? And that 110 could be coming as soon as tomorrow or end of this week. So all you have to do is stay strong and continue to hold on DCA. Now, outside of Bitcoin, I did lead up at the beginning that there are a lot of projects out there, altcoin projects, a lot of crypto projects that are directly involved with Bitcoin or helping Bitcoin grow, which doesn't seem like it's the case, but there are many. Here's one example, and you wouldn't think of it. Sooie actually announced this today. This is a pretty big thing. They have an integration with Microsoft, which is obviously one of the biggest companies on the planet, if not the biggest. They may be number one. But there's this big partnership that now allows Microsoft and Microsoft Fabric to access certain chains like the Sooie network, right? This is pretty big. Microsoft has a lot of developers. So now they're able to pull data from the Sooie chain. But not only that, okay, they can also pull data from Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay, so this is pretty big stuff. So we know that there are oracles in the crypto space that kind of allows this interoperability, but now you have oracles that are like Web 2 oracles that are doing the same thing, that are now integrated with Bitcoin and L1s like Sooie and actually pulling data for Web 2 development and even Web 3 development with Web 2 companies, right? It's a pretty big thing. It's a pretty big thing. I mean, overall, you guys know I'm pretty bullish on Sooie. They have a ton of stuff going on, okay? A lot of stuff going on, but they are really going after this new category that's called BTCFi, Bitcoin-Fi, okay? Because they know you can't ignore Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the big daddy. There are still a lot of developers, a lot of dApps that want to program directly on top of Bitcoin and or utilize Bitcoin as liquidity in DeFi. So Sooie is getting very much involved with that, okay? They're actually bringing over a ton of stable coins and just Bitcoin-backed tokens or synthetic Bitcoin, right? Here's one, why BTC is coming to Sooie, okay? And why is this? Well, you can now use this Bitcoin-pegged crypto and you could generate yield with it. That's the whole point of bringing the Bitcoin liquidity. And not only that, okay, the synthetic Bitcoin from Stacks is also coming aboard. Now, Stacks, and we'll get to that in a little bit, is a layer 2 for Bitcoin that's allowing a whole lot of stuff, really concentrating on DeFi. And now Sooie wants a part of that. Sooie wants to help Bitcoin grow, help this new category, Bitcoin-Fi, grow. And that is absolutely fantastic. In fact, look at this. 10% of Sooie's total TVL is now Bitcoin. That's a whole lot. And Sooie has 4 billion TVL. So 10% of that is already Bitcoin. Quite amazing, quite amazing. So another reason why to love Sooie, but another reason why holding Bitcoin is a good idea because there's new use cases coming out every single day. Now, speaking of Stacks, they are the biggest L2 there is for Bitcoin, offering a whole bunch of stuff, programmable language on top of Bitcoin, offers a whole bunch of stuff to be made on top of Bitcoin, including DeFi, NFTs, stablecoins, even memes. I mean, you name it, okay? They make a lot of things possible. but they are moving. And plus, you could get rewarded in Bitcoin by staking stacks. You don't see that in a lot of projects. In fact, almost no projects at all. But they are moving to upgrade themselves to become even better, okay? To increase their DeFi. And by doing that, you know, obviously it's going to bring a lot more adoption. They're trying to really push their synthetic BTC, which is new for them, okay? They're going to introduce something called dual staking, which allows people to stake Bitcoin and stacks at the same time and earn yield in Bitcoin. And also they want to grow out their synthetic Bitcoin too and make sure that that is also being utilized and you can earn yield from that as well. So Stacks is doing a lot of stuff right now, okay? Trying to upgrade themselves, trying to grow, and also helping Bitcoin in the process. If you look at like this new category I just mentioned, BitcoinFi, BTCFi, basically half the stuff, if not more, is only possible due to stacks. So you're talking about staking dApps, lending dApps, stable coins, wallets, DEXs, right? All these things made possible because of stacks, which is why the TVL is going up like crazy. Now, there is one other project, a goodie from back in 2018 that I wasn't really familiar with, but now I'm starting to get more familiar with because they want to be part of this new revolution, the BitcoinFi, BTCFi, and that's Elastos. Now, earlier this year, they locked in a $20 million investment to grow out their ecosystem, specifically their new Bell L2 layer 2 for Bitcoin. They want to compete against Stacks and others, right? Because they feel like they have something better. This is a big investment and they really want to get involved, okay? And help BitcoinFi grow. Now, one thing that stands out with Elastos versus everything else is their merge mining. Okay, in fact, 50% of Bitcoin's merge mining is helping secure Elastos. In case you don't know what merge mining is, basically you can mine and secure two networks simultaneously. In this case, Bitcoin and Elastos. Okay, so this is something unique. You really don't see this a lot. There are some crypto out there, like for example, Dogecoin. Dogecoin exists because of merge mining with Litecoin, but Elastos actually is with Bitcoin, right? So that in itself, they feel like makes them a little bit stronger because they're utilizing the strongest security model in existence from Bitcoin, proof of work, right? There's something about that, and a lot of people do think Bitcoin does have the best security, bar none. There's nothing better, and that's something that's already on their side, right? But Elastos, they really want to grow out like their Bell 2, the Bell L2, their layer 2, right? Because they feel like they could do a whole lot with it. Interoperability, right? Not only between them and Bitcoin, but also Ethereum. And because they have merge mining and because they also have staking and they're focused on interoperability, they just feel like they do have a leg up, right? And that's the thing. If you do merge mining with Elastos, not only are you mining Bitcoin, but you're also getting rewarded in ELA. And if you get rewarded in that, why not stake it, earn some juicy rewards, right? So it's the best of both worlds. You're not really missing out. You're still earning Bitcoin or you're mining Bitcoin, right? Everyone's trying to find that Bitcoin, but you're also getting something in addition to that, which is very rare, very rare. And along with their new layer 2, right? They're trying to come out with their own Bitcoin-backed coin as well. They call it the native Bitcoin stablecoin, NBS, so it's Bitcoin backed. Obviously, it's not the first of its kind, but there are many that are moving this step. Again, utilizing Bitcoin as a utility, bring it over and utilizing it for DeFi. And something else that's a little bit different with their Bell L2 is the fact that people can just hold Bitcoin in their wallets without ever leaving it. That's the big thing about security. You never really want to give up your Bitcoin, right? You always want to secure yourself. And that's the thing. With their Bell L2, Bitcoiners could simply hold Bitcoin in their wallet and access Ethereum services, for example, swaps and lending and also minting. Like if you want to mint your own stablecoin, I'm sure they'll probably expand upon that and go to maybe meme coins, right? So that's also something that's different. You don't have to rely on anyone else. You could keep Bitcoin in your own wallet and access these EVM services. And that's something that Elastos is building within this Bell L2 system. So very interesting in terms of what they're doing. Overall, Bitcoin DeFi, BTC DeFi, you can see is growing by leaps and bounds. Sooie's getting involved. Okay, Stacks, of course, is involved. You got Elastos involved, and there are many other projects that are trying to get involved as well. This is the reason why Bitcoin is the big daddy, guys. Okay, I talk a lot about Bitcoin being the ultimate store of value, being the ultimate hedge against inflation. It's a great medium exchange. It's the most decentralized network out there, but there are a lot of new use cases being developed, and DeFi or BTC DeFi or BTCFi is something new that is also being done right now, right? Being conducted and growing. So that's another great use case for Bitcoin. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. Bitcoin is still at right around $107,000. I'm excited. I want to see what Asia does tonight and Europe. And let's see where Bitcoin ends up tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time during market open. And I'll see you guys then. All right? Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.